Welcome to European Forum Outback. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska and you're watching TVP World. And it is my pleasure to welcome to our studio Magnus Brunner, EU Commissioner for Home Affairs and Migration. Thank you for finding time for us here in the studio.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I would like to touch upon some of the most important subjects when it comes to the European Union and your position in particular. Let's start with implementation of the Migration Pact, something that has a direct effect not only on the entirety of European Union, but also on Poland. So at the beginning of February this year, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said, I quote, "Poland will not accept any burden related to the relocation mechanism. This is not an ideological debate. If anybody says Poland must take an extra responsibility on its shoulders, then independent of who it says, my answer is Poland will not accept any extra responsibility, full stop." There's clearly little to no space for negotiation when it comes to that. How do you think the EU is trying to mitigate the situation without going at loggerheads with particular member states? What is the solution to this?
Well, first of all, to explain what the pact is about, actually. The pact is very important and is a very good basis, actually, we have. It's a reform, the biggest reform of the migration and asylum system we ever had, and we desperately need it, of course, because we were working with the old system for the last 10 years and it didn't work. So we need a new system, we need a reform, and the pact is a good basis. There are some missing pieces, of course, like the return problem, so to say, or the safe third country or safe country of origin things, but the pact is a good basis. And now it's all about implementing it, and then, of course, also explaining what the advantages are, also for Poland, of course, because
what will those be? Well,
Poland has a very special challenge, I would say, being at the eastern border. Poland has to deal with weaponization from the Russian side and from the Belarusian side. I've been to the Belarusian border together with Tomasz Simoniak 2 times, actually, and I saw firsthand what it's all about and what the challenges in Poland actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
I'm sorry to interrupt, but only 2 days ago we had another attack on a person working on the Polish border. So there is definitely that tension building up.
Oh, definitely. And that's why we also tackle that problem with the next MFF, for instance. There's a lot of money in the next MFF, and that's a sort of whole of society approach, sort of very big approach we have, and there is some money, of course, also foreseen for things like that for Poland. So Poland will have a lot of advantages, of course, when the pact is implemented and when the MFF has come into place. So there are a lot of advantages, I would say, and it's all about solidarity and responsibility. And there will be, and I know that Poland has done a lot with the Ukrainian refugees. Also,
that was another point made by the government as well.
Exactly, and that's Poland has done a lot there, and that's why we support Poland so much, and that's why we did that in the last months also. It was important, and it was pretty obvious that we had to do that.
When it comes, so my next question is, when it comes to such a seasoned European politician as current Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk is, why do you think there's still opposition to the Migration Pact? I mean, he knows the structures. He knows politicians that are working within the European Union. So why do you think he's still opposing it?
Well, we have to see what the outcome is going to be. Is there solidarity towards Poland within the pact? We will see that in autumn, or not. And that's what Donald Tusk says. He says no burdens, no additional burdens for Poland, which I totally understand. That's why we have to support Poland, of course. That's what we do with more money, with the MFF, for instance, but also with other legislations like the return regulation, for instance, where Poland was very much involved, of course.
When it comes to the opposition to the Migration Pact, we have 2 countries in particular that I would like to focus on. We have Poland and Hungary that have until June 2026 to make good with the pact, to take a second look at it and decide whether or not they're going to sign it. What is going to happen to Poland and Hungary if they finally decide not to sign the Migration Pact?
Well, that's pretty clear, because then you don't get solidarity from the pact, you don't get the money from the pact. So it's a give and take, of course. Having the advantages from the pact, then you of course have to sign the pact. That's pretty obvious.
Is there a chance at any point in time that, for example, Hungary is going to have some responsibilities and is going to, if it doesn't sign the migration pact? I guess my question is, would there be a possibility that one and not the other is going to be punished for not signing the pact?
Well, not punished, I would say, but not gaining the advantages out of the pact. And the pact has a lot of advantages when it comes to money, when it comes to operational assistance also, Frontex, for instance, and others. So that's pretty, it's not a punishment, it's just if you don't want to be part of something, you don't have the advantages afterwards. But I have to say there is a difference. With Poland, we are in very good contact on a technical level. We are working on that. We are taking Poland very seriously, of course, and also the problems the Polish have at the borders. So we take that really seriously and try to meet those challenges as well with the pact, with also the new legislations. So we are in very good contact with Poland.
There's no easy way about it. Obviously, when it comes to the discussion about migration in Europe, there's also the part of the civil society. So people who live in those European countries, in those member states, and they have their opinions about how they feel about a migration pact. What if you were to explain to the civil society in Europe why migration pact is important and why should they take a different look at migration as it stands today in Europe, what would you say?
That's a very interesting question and a very good question, because we have to explain it in more detail maybe sometimes. And there are a lot of advantages with the pact, because at the moment we don't have any rules. So Europe did a lot of work in the last 10 years. In the last 10 years of the crisis we had, took a lot of responsibility, but with no rules in a way. And that's what the pact is about. We need rules. How to manage migration better, how to be maybe stricter on the illegal migration part. We want to of course fight illegal migration. We want to fight the smugglers. They're having a very good. So that's a lot of money which is in there. So we have to fight that. But on the other hand, we have to explain that we need in Europe legal migration. Some countries need that for the labor market, for instance. And then we have the asylum part, where people in need in some countries in the world, of course, have the right for asylum. But those three things are different. Fighting illegal migration, and I think the society usually talks about the illegal part, which we totally agree that we have to fight them. But we need rules, we need a system, and that's what the pact is about. It's a new migration system, how to manage migration in a better way, in a more digital way also. For instance, the entry-exit system will be quite key. So that we see who comes into the European Union and who leaves the European Union on a digital basis. And that's what we try to implement with the pact altogether.
You mentioned people smuggling, which is a massive problem not only in Europe but also globally. Do you think that the very issue of people smuggling could actually have some effect on countries that are possibly looking for EU accession?
Yeah, I mean, migrant smuggling, people smuggling, human smuggling altogether, human trafficking is something we really have to fight against. And that's in all discussions we have with the accession countries, definitely one of the big points we are pointing out. And everyone has to do his or her homework. The countries have to do their homework when it comes to human trafficking, to people smuggling, before the accession procedure can go on.
Another important question in relation to migration, and a massive question for European Union, is the disintegration of the Schengen zone. So we've seen that certain countries have implemented certain border controls over the past weeks. And I was wondering if we're actually looking at this integration of the Schengen zone that has been so successful and has been so instrumental when it comes to the functioning of the European Union.
Yeah, the Schengen zone is one of the biggest achievements we have, and we have to do everything to keep it working. I do understand, of course, that some countries introduce border controls, like Germany did, like other countries did as well. But we have to get rid of them, and we do everything to support these member states to be able to get rid of those border checks, because, as you said, the Schengen area is one of the biggest achievements, and we have to preserve it as good as we can. And we are helping the member states to get rid of these border controls because we need the free movement, as it is one of the biggest achievements.
Thank you so very much for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you in our TVP World studio.
Thank you very much.
Magnus Brunner, EU Commissioner for Home Affairs and Migration, was my guest. I'm Klaudia Czerwińska and you are watching TVP World. Please do stay tuned and stay here for more.